What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Young Money Hackers podcast. I'm here, Charlie, here with Handel, and we are going to dive into an interesting property topic today. Well, why now is a good time to be getting into the market. There's a lot of things going on economically that I think we should be touching on, especially for people that are interested in they're either procrastinating on which decision to make, whether they should get in now or wait for interest rates to be at a different level to get started, or they are ready to get in now. So we're going to be addressing some of the pros and cons between now versus later. I think you guys are going to get a lot of value from this. Handel, tell us what goes through your head when you hear this topic.
Finding properties is the art. It's the name of the game, right? It's all about the deal. It's all about what it is. Macroeconomic data is helpful in knowing generally where the direction of the market is heading. But at the end of the day, you're not buying 1 million houses in an entire city. You're buying one house. You're buying one property that's going to set you up for growth. And that's the whole ethos of this game. If you're sitting there wondering how I'm going to afford one property, why are you looking at the entire market as if you're going to buy the entire market? In fact, if you want to trace the entire market, just go and buy an ETF on a property fund or REIT, right? Which is not the most active strategy and not the most growth-focused strategy out there, right?
It's not the most aggressive strategy that's going to give you a really high result earlier than retirement. So what essentially you're saying is that it's more about the sniping the right property, okay, within the market, rather than just looking at the market as a whole and saying, well, now is not the right time.
Exactly right. I mean, the rule of average is pretty boring, if you ask me. Like, if you're trying to do the abnormal, by taking a reference of the normal, that's just it's a counterintuitive statement open in itself. So just because you go to a normal high school doesn't mean you can't be a very, very smart kid. Like you can still jump out of the norm. That's the whole point of what we're doing. If you're always going to focus on the norm, just go get a job, get your employer to pay your super and retire below the poverty line. Like that's the normal in Australia.
That is actually the normal, yeah. And that's what we're here to kind of shine some light on and overcome that mass problem. Okay, good point, dude. I think that's really, really well said. Another interesting data point here that I'm currently looking at is that it's the time to save a deposit is at the highest point that it has ever been. So currently taking 6 years to save for a 20% deposit on a home on an average income of $89,000 a year. Handel, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, in the first instance, most people go, oh my gosh, like it's so crazy. You have to wait 6 years for a property and it's the worst thing ever. I mean, yeah. I mean, and the double whammy is like $89,000. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of money, right? Well, like $89,000 on a serviceability from a bank on the basis of no dependents, right? And no other debt is crazy amount of serviceability, right? And it depends what kind of things you're out there shopping for. If you're out there shopping for Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces, which is what we think most young people are going for, hence why there's no affordability. But if they are a little bit smarter in locking down an investment slightly lower at a lower budget than what they're looking for. So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, the affordability is lower at the moment, but more and more young Aussies are looking for dream properties earlier on than later on because of all the crap that they see on the internet, right? Where
it comes back to that same problem, doesn't it?
Exactly right. So
of their first
exactly right. So if they were actually if they actually understood how property markets work and how property investing could work for them, they could actually lock in those investments earlier on rather than being stuck in between what they want versus what they can afford, right? And not be able to take action on it, and then you miss out on the gains that you could have made on a lower budget property, which from there you've already locked in all those equity, so you'll probably get to the dream property sooner than the alternative, which is just waiting for the wages to go up.
Okay, exactly. So for people that are scared about interest rates, going higher or lower, and they feel like they should wait for whatever reason to get into the property market, later on, because now times are not the best, things are crazy in the economy right now. So now might not be the best time to get in. Why would you say it's more beneficial to take action in times like this rather than wait until it feels better?
Yeah, I mean, the cash rate is sitting at 4.35% as of today. I mean, that's okay. I don't know if you guys remember back in 2011, right? We're still lower than we were back then.
Interesting.
And look,
yeah,
I could unpack this so many times. Look, I said this is deal focus. Okay, actually no, I'm going to talk about the deal later on. Interest rates go up. Now, what happens to rents? Right? It's like we only take in pieces of information. For those of you who follow our Instagram religiously, picking up all this value, congratulations. We've covered that. Before we talk about interest rates, we're talking about, what are we talking about? We're talking about rents going up. And how much are rents going up at the way? Rents are going up 7%. And what, 15% across major cities, right?
Exactly. Like it's like 2 and 2, right? There's a housing crisis, but that comes with a rental crisis as well. Okay, which means the asset owner
exactly right
is always going to.
And if you find a better deal in that scenario, right, then you are going to put yourself above the average line of property investors, which in that case you're pretty much good. It's actually so good. I mean. Yeah. The rate at which the rents are increasing on average, okay, here we are looking at the average again. Ooh. The rate at which the rents are going up on average is faster than the rate at which the interest rates are growing up in many locations around Australia.
So what that means is that if you are an asset holder, you're going to feel it on the interest rates, but it's going to be taken care. A lot of it will be taken care of just by the fact that rents are increasing with it. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're out just by owning it.
I'll add one more thing.
You're too scared of that.
And the interesting thing about Australia is that Australians are probably the most sensitive to cash rates because we can only fix our interest rates for 2 years. But our rents can float and change and be more dynamic, and it will stay. It'll be ahead of the game compared to the interest rate. So in this environment, you're actually better off as a property investor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Even though it's more sensitive as an owner to have property, you're still going to be ahead of the game. Yeah. So Handel, tell us a bit about that chart. It was something to do with millionaires entering Australia, and what does that mean in terms of property? What could that mean?
Yeah. So
what does it point to?
The infographic is called Millionaire Migrations. Look, we could get it up in this podcast, but it requires a bit of production magic. But what we'll do instead is we'll share it on our Instagram. Go check us out on the social pipes. You will find lots of value doing that. If you already follow us there, thank you so much for being here, of course. Basically, it's a map of the world. It's called Millionaire Migrations, and it's got 2 different colors in bubbles. So we got the green bubbles and then the red bubbles. All right, and there's a number on there. The red bubbles have a negative figure on it, and the green bubbles have a positive figure on it. And what this means is it quantifies millionaire migrations, whether it's inbound or net outbound or net inbound of a particular country. So if for example, right now we're seeing China is a negative 13,500. So that basically means that there is a net export of millionaires out of China. And the size of the bubble corresponds to the size, the amount of millionaires either going in or out of that nation. So China's red, India's red. So all the rich people in China and India are leaving. There's less millionaires going into that country versus people going out of that country. Russia, Russia is probably the next largest circle, and then UK is another large circle as well, similar to Russia too. Now, then there's obviously countries where millionaires like to move into. Now, we don't actually know where the millionaires are coming from and where they're going to, but it becomes quite obvious when you look at it on a macroeconomic scale. And so the green bubbles are very interesting to look at. So green bubbles are obviously spread across, Australia, Singapore, United Arab Emirates, Canada, and United States. Okay, this is where the millionaires like to go to. All right, so probably more the advanced or more relaxing nations, if you like. Switzerland is another big green circle as well. The biggest green circle out of all of these nations, and by a large margin, is, lo and behold, Australia.
Whoa, hold up, Landlord Society.
Are you sick and tired of the rat race and you want to start building wealth with property and generate passive income?
Then come and drop us a follow on Instagram and DM us the word Landlord.
The word what, Charlie?
The word Landlord, like the Landlord Society.
Okay, wait, Charles, what's our Instagram handle again?
At landlord.society.
You heard him, everybody. DM us the word landlord to our Instagram to learn more about property investing. Now, back to the podcast.
Australia, isn't that crazy? So people from all over the world with money are coming into Australia more than they are for any other country on earth. That should, not to scare anyone, but that should wake you up to the fact that, yes, we have factors such as immigration. Yes, we have a housing shortage. But what do millionaires do when they come to a country? Is it really safer to wait until the economic changes in your perception to take action? In my opinion, no, not really. It's like you want to figure out how you can best implement the strategy.
Exactly right. And this is retrospective data. So it's not like this is going to happen. This has already happened. I mean, yeah, it's happening.
It's happening.
If you look at this here, it's not like, like Australia is way cooler to come to for millionaires than places like Greece and Switzerland and France and Portugal. Even Dubai. It's beating it. So like
Dubai,
millionaires look at Australia and go, whoa, that's a place. We're beating Singapore. We're almost double the amount of net import of millionaire migrants compared to Singapore. That is unbelievable. And like Singapore, us Aussies in Australia, I think we're like the worst part of the world. No. The rich people think we're in the best part of the world. And here's the thing. Rich people are bringing their money into Australia. Why? Because they see an opportunity here. The growth of this country isn't just simply interest rate, but it's across so many different factors as well. Exactly right. Yeah. And look, I don't really want to get into a debate of, and look, with China being the biggest exporter of millionaires, and that might not have anything to do with the quality of the country. It's probably to do with just the sheer number of population, right? But with China being the largest net exporter of millionaires to all over the world, where Australia is probably the hottest destination for them to go to, I don't want to be sitting here and having a hillbilly discussion of, we don't want this and that. People, I'm not from China, by the way. Like I'm neutral. We don't want the Asians coming here. We don't want the foreigners coming here grabbing our. Okay, well, you know what? Like I'm not here to have that discussion. I just want to make an observation. And as an investor, what makes me understand out of this dynamic is that there is going to be a massive injection of liquidity into this market.
I 100% agree. There's no point being reactive. We have to be proactive.
That's right. So, look, I don't know what the policies are going to do and what have you and whatever, but this having happened, I would probably be investing into real estate. Now, you might say, but millionaires are buying really expensive properties out there. I'm like, yeah, I know. But that will then give a job to somebody else, or they come and do projects that give another job to somebody else. So the economic prosperity is going to ripple out. And when they do, that affordability, that liquidity or that cash flow is going to be then injected into the various parts of the Australian economy, right? For every millionaire that comes in here, a tradie has a job. A plumber gets a job. A doctor has a job, okay? The restaurants get filled, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that being the case, and if they spend 8 times, 10 times, 50 times more than a normal person does in Australia, right? Then one of them coming over, it's like having 50 more people living in Australia. That economic, amplification is going to have a ripple out effect. So it does mean that if you expose yourself to the property market, all of these factors are going to be impacting on it. And all you need to do is just make that observation and make a decision on a property that will benefit from this wave up.
Yeah. It's crazy. There are experts saying that the property boom has already happened. Mate, the property boom hasn't even started. It's scary for people. Yes, there's going to be problems with affordability, but what we're here to do is to encourage people to be on the right side of the curve and not to be someone who ends up complaining about how unaffordable things are. They're tough, but it's not unachievable to get on the right side of that curve.
Another thing that I want to talk about is our cash rate is sitting below what things used to be back in 2010, 2011. Now, just a smidge below, like in 20, but if you look around, right, like the inflation was less of a problem in 2011. Like economy was less of an issue back in 2011 than it is right now. So if we're having a bigger problem, the potential for interest rates actually dropping is a likelihood. Now, I as a property investor don't particularly enjoy or find much value in sitting here discussing interest rates. Like it genuinely, as counterintuitive as that may sound, as a property investor, I would consider it, but it's not the decider of the precursor of my property decision. Unfortunately, it's not.
It's not a controlled variable.
When I look at that and I go, okay, well, I just got to find good enough deals to make it stack up. That's all I'm saying. Like that mindset doesn't change. That calculation doesn't change just because, interest rate is 2% or 10%. It's the same. You still got to make it stack up, because you could buy a property, right, when the interest rates are 2%, that's yielding 3%, and you go, yeah, hooray, I'm making 1% gain. But then if the interest rates then go back up and you go backwards, well then you start up again. So it's all about having the right metrics and the search criteria in place so that you can exact a strategy upon a particular purchase, so that you can be up ahead of it sooner than later. Because once you then create that value at the beginning, then that gives you the capacity and the buffer to ride out whatever climate that is about to come. And if the climate improves, in other words, the interest rates drop, well, then you've got all that gap as an upside.
Exactly, yeah. Mate, that's why you're a successful guy, because you view things that way.
Exactly right. You've got to view it that way. The thing is, with the interest rates going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, real estate prices has only been going up.
Yeah. Yes.
What I can also talk about is this.
It's another one of the
when the interest rates go down, right, then arguably, the market is going, like the economy is going bad, and so the government is trying to boost things up a little bit, right? And because of that, real estate prices will go up. Now, when market is good, the government tries to slow things down a bit by putting interest rates up. But because the market is good, real estate prices go up. So either of the scenarios, real estate prices are going up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Real estate,
I think
there's always
the young Aussies wanting to get into property is not an issue of affordability. It's not an issue of high interest rates. It's not an issue of whatever. Because like our parents bought property when interest rates were in the 1990s, the cash rate was sitting at 18%. Cash rate was sitting at 18%. But I don't think it's an issue of affordability, but it's more the issue of what are you out there looking for? And the only way you're going to develop the right property to look for, right? The what we call the property avatar. If you the way that you're going to develop the property avatar is only by understanding the value of property investing and what kind of metrics to apply to actually kickstart your portfolio. And once you've nailed that down, then each property you buy will then contribute towards the affordability of your subsequent property, to the point that a collection of properties is going to buy your lifestyle.
Yeah,
that is the goal.
That's the goal here. That's the goal here. That's financial independence through property. Yeah.
So come check us out on Instagram. That's where we're at. That's where we reside. Send us a DM. Happy to hang out and catch up.
All right. Well, there's a lot to unpack from all this, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sure you guys have a lot to think about. Until next time, follow us on Instagram and stay tuned for the next episode. Cheers, guys.
Peace out.